Welcome to You Can Do It. Today we're working on a VW Transporter T5. It's the same as a T6 as well. We're going to change the rear springs on the back of this VW T5. So first things first, what tools do we need? So I'm going to try and just do this. The point of these videos is to try and show you you can do it without, you don't need loads of fancy stuff. So I'm just going to use the standard jack that comes with the van. I've got a wrench there. I've got a 13mm, a 19mm and a 21mm impact drive socket. WD-40 can never be without that. I'm just using my little impact drive there to save time. I've got two new rubbers for the bottoms of the springs, and there's a new set of springs in there. Now I'm going to do another video about the rear springs for the VWs, because there's loads of different types of springs, loads of different colour codings, so you know about how to find what springs are the same as each other in the sense that different colours are actually the same spring, and the different characteristics. But that's another video. So let's get cracking. First things first, I'm going to jack this up. Now, if you've got a lift and you can have both wheels off the ground at the back at the same time, then brilliant. But I'm just going to show you how you can do this on your driveway or whatever. So I'm just going to jack up one side, and we'll do one side at a time. So first things first, let me jack that up and get the wheel off. Okay, we've got the wheel off. Always chuck it under the vehicle. It's on this stand here, but I've also got an axle stand under there, but I've actually got a tow bar at the back. If you haven't got a tow bar, then you'll have to put the axle stand on the pivot joint of this arm, but you've got to be a bit careful because the arm has to move in taking it off. The next thing that we need to do then, okay, before we take the shock absorber off here, because we're going to do one side at a time, we'll need to disconnect the anti-roll bar, because obviously we're going to try and move one of these down and the other one's going to be staying in the same place, so we're actually fighting against the anti-roll bar. So just to save yourself a lot of effort and do this, there's only literally it's two 13mm bolts either side of here, and we'll do it on this side, and then we'll go over and we'll do it the same on the other side of the vehicle. Okay, so let me get on and do that. We'll do the other one. There's the other one. That's the anti. So look. Now I've actually done the other side already. So now look, the anti-roll bar. We're not fighting against the anti-roll bar now. So that's there. That's just like that. So we're good to go. If you do quite a bit of work, they're definitely worth getting one of these impact drivers. I mean, this is not the real heavy-duty one. The Makita make one that's a much heavy-duty one than this, but then it's just really big and heavy and you can't get into small places. So this is great for undoing those stubborn ones once you've actually cracked it with the long bar, but it won't undo really heavy bolts. You need to get the bigger one for that, which I will. I'll get one of those shortly as I'm doing more of these videos. Okay, so we've undone that. So now take off this rear shock here. So that's a bolt around the back here. Look, there she is. This side is 21, the other side is 19. So I'll get my impact driver on that, and I'll get that bolt out. Now once I take that bolt out and push it out, this arm is going to drop down, because actually it hangs on that on the shock absorber. So just be careful about that. When you knock that pin out of it, this will drop down a bit. Okay, let me get on and do it. Great thing with these impact drivers is they save a lot of time. There we are. There's the knot off. So right there, and then I'll push that through. That's obviously going to be a bit stiff because it's pulling on the swing arm, so maybe just spray a bit of WD-40 if you haven't taken that bolt out for a while. Just helps it come out. Well, I'll get that out now. I'll just use my impact driver as it saves time. Okay, so that bolt's out now, so that can go down there. So then this arm here, look, this is not connected at all, and now this arm can loose. Now because we've taken off the anti-roll bar, we're not fighting against that. So now really it's a case of pushing that down, and we'll try and get this spring out. Now in my case, the other side spring has snapped at the top, but I want to change both of them, which is the best thing to do. So conveniently there is a hole through here, so that's great. So then what you can do with that is you can maybe put a piece of wood on it like that, so it doesn't hurt your knee, and then just kneel on it. Look, and then that brings this right down here. Look. Okay, so I've got my knee on that. holding that piece of wood down, and I can now get that spring out. Look. Ah, there she is. It's my spring. So look, I've got two yellows there, and what I'm actually putting back in are those. But that's another video which will explain all the different springs and stuff. So the spring I'm putting back in is actually stiffer than this one. It's 1 notch up in stiffness, but I've got a tow bar on this vehicle now, so the extra I need a bit more of a hefty spring because I'm loading it up with a trailer. Okay, so now under here, these are these things, but they get knackered really quickly, and I think that's, to be honest, they puncture through. And that's why your van will drop a bit at the back anyway, because here's some new ones, look. And if you actually see how thick they are, look, they're actually about that thick. So you've got about that much under the spring. Now when that spring pushes through it all, that's basically the same as dropping your vehicle by about 15 mil at this point, which obviously by the time you get to this point, you're probably talking about 30 mil almost. So yeah. Okay, so we've got our spring out now. So this spring is actually all right. What's happened on the other side is it's sort of snapped about here. So these have got small pigtails. So these have got, well, this is for the other video. If you want to watch, I'll talk all about the different types of springs. But this sort of has a fairly weak starting load, and then gets tougher and tougher the harder it goes down. So anyway, so this is the plate that sits on the top there. It's fairly self-explanatory. It clips in there when you put it back. But I've got some new ones with the springs I've got, so I'm going to put them in. Okay, so let's get the new spring. Okay, let's put the new spring back. So this is the spring that's going back in. So it's a stiffer one than came out. The colour banding always goes at the bottom, so the spring always sort of sits that way up. So let me just put the tops and bottoms on, and then we can try and put it in. These bottom plates, which are new, you can't help but fit it the right way. So you fit that on. Look, there's a groove in there, and that groove fits in this groove here. So make sure you fit those like that. The top one has got the same sort of profile. The top one's got the same sort of profile as that. So when you fit the top one, you've got to make sure it's in there properly. Okay, the spring's all set up, ready to go. I'll put a little bit of grease around there just so that spins around okay, and we'll get it back in. Okay, look, you can push the top bit up there in the top. You put the top bit up first, and then you can get that. Then that hangs down. And remember to get that little groove. So I remember groove is there, and the groove on the thing is there, so they're sort of next to each other. And then we're good to go. I'm going to just get that up. Now, I'm obviously kneeling on my piece of wood again to hold that down. I'll take my weight off that, and that should all come up. Okay, so now we need to lift this back up to make sure the spring's in the right place, and also to connect up this. So what you can do is just get a jack. So I'm going to get a jack, and I'm going to put it under here, and we're just going to jack that up. So let me get on and do okay, it's got dark here now because I'm just outside. But look, you see the situation there. I've now moved this around so that it's exactly in the right place for that bit down there. So now I can just jack this up here, which I'll do now. Okay, take your pin, put it back in there, and we should be able to get our. It just needs to come up a little bit more. Obviously, be careful with this because there's quite a lot of force on this, and I can feel that there's definitely a stiffer spring. Alright, I think that should be enough. Okay, that bolt's in there now. I just need to push it a bit further and put the nut on. I'll put a bit of there we are. She's on good. And look, the spring's up there all in the right place. So that's it. So the only last thing we've got to do is I'm just going to connect up this anti-roll bar. Of course, I'm going to have to take it off again when I do the other side, but I'll do the other side tomorrow, maybe, or the day after. We'll just tighten these up with the old gun. Okay, so we've changed the spring. All that's left now is to put the wheel back on, do it all up and take it off the jack, but you don't need me to show you how to do that. So you have done it. You've just changed your spring there. For whatever reason, you might find you want to change it to change your ride height. 3 reasons basically. Change your ride height, it's broken and you need to just replace it with a similar spring, or you want to change the spring tension. So you're not too interested about your ride height, you just want to have a beefier spring because you're going to put more in your van or your multi-van or whatever. So quite often when you've got a multi-van and you've got it all loaded up with all your kit, then you put a bike rack on it with 60 kilos worth of bike on it, and then you put a caravan on it or a trailer on it, then it's going to be sitting way too low at the back, so you're just going to need a stiffer spring. But that's another video all about springs. So you have done it. If you've liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you've got any comments, send me a comment. Hope this has helped, and see you soon.